Welcome, everybody. We are opening with our first day of the 14 days of manifestation. I'm Kristen Bomas, and joining me today is Charlene Castellanos, and we're going to talk about mastery and how mastery and manifestation come together. So we're entering a time this month where we've got winter solstice, which is one of my most favorite days of the year because it is the most powerful day for manifesting. We then open up into the new year. Then the New Year's resolutions, New Year. Then our first new moon of the new year is on the 2nd, followed by the full moon. And then we have a second new moon in the month of January on the 31st. So over the next month and a half or so, you are going to see me talking a lot about manifestation. And we are going to use all of these key dates to really make your dreams become your reality. Following this, we also have a downloadable program that we will be offering in a couple weeks that you can download and run that program and work that workshop while I'm doing my lives, and you should be able to get a lot of good bang for your buck on these. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. So Charlene, what would you like to tell everybody about yourself, and then also what would you like to ask about manifesting and your own life?
Okay, so I'd like to first, hi everyone. I'm Charlene Castellanos. I am a marketer slash brand strategist. And for me, I have been using vision boards to manifest pretty much my whole career. But there has been one thing or one person that I haven't been able to manifest. Now I got into marketing and branding because of this pro athlete that I follow. And actually I got into reputation management because of him. And he's always been on my vision board for years. Like I can pull up everyone. I actually went looking for it to see if I could find it, but it was in a box all the way at the bottom. And I could see his head poking out. And I was like, oh my God, like look at him looking at me right here. But I've never been able to manifest him and never get close either. Like I have, I've a lot of things on my vision board. I have manifested no problem, but he has just been my biggest problem. And I'm just like, oh.
So you've got a couple things, right? So you can see the hesitancy when you talk about it. So in that hesitancy, we know something is going on there, right? And so we want to look at the hesitancy. It's funny because, as everybody knows, we had to redo this video. And so this afternoon at noon, when we originally did this, she actually shook her head. I was like, oh, well, there it is. Like, you just don't even know what's going to happen. But now you can see it in the way she's hesitating. So that doubt is showing through her hesitation tonight. And earlier today it showed because she actually shook her head left to right. It was kind of hysterical. So we've got the doubt. We've got the doubt and we've got the hesitation that you need to look at. But there's another, and we're going to talk about that. The other thing we're going to talk about is the fact that you have him on your board. So anytime, and to all of you I say this, anytime we put another human being on our board, you're going to run into grave difficulties because you're really influencing somebody else's free will. And that's not what we want to do. In fact, to the indigenous people of the land, they would call that black magic because you're going against free will, right? So that's like a no-no, a big no-no. But that's not what Charlene's intention is, right? Her intention is to become the brand, the reputation, the marketing manager of this pro athlete. So we want to then ask you, are you aware of who the company is that does his work, and who would be the one hiring you or asking you to do the presenting? And that's who you need to think about. Now that needs to go on your board. You want to put that on your board and know that you want the opportunity to be seen by them. You want your product and your skill and your expertise to be seen by them, because if you can show them who you are, you'll win over the client, like the job. So when you pull the individual out of it, it's no longer he is on my board, but the company that represents him is on my board to be a client of mine. So I'm looking for them to be my client, that business to be my client. And that's a real important shift in your board in literal. And it's also going to shift the way you then manifest in your thoughts. You're not thinking about, I'm going to use Sam Smith. You're not going to think about Sam Smith in your manifesting. You're going to be thinking about company ABC big part of the manifestation. And now you've got a lot more yummy stuff that can happen from that thread of energy and magic, right? But now we have this other piece. And I use but with great purpose here because the other piece is quite powerful, and that's the doubt. So are you aware of what's causing that hesitancy in your voice today?
No. So I was, after our call earlier today, I thought about it, but like I told you, I really avoid this part, like, I guess like the plague, kind of, because even when I started thinking about it, I was like, no, think about something else. And I guess the doubt comes from not I guess not really feeling inadequate, because I think I know what I'm talking about. I know his brand like the back of my hand at this point.
Yes.
I think that it is maybe feeling like I don't have enough background, or maybe someone will feel like, oh, well, she hasn't worked in pro sports, or, like just, the key things that you think about. Yeah.
Charlene, we have female announcers on major networks, and I can promise you they have not played football. Yeah, I can probably promise that, right? They're awesome. So there is a fear inside, and we may not know exactly what it is. And for everybody listening, when we start to become aware that we have a fear that we may not be good enough for the job, it doesn't mean that we don't know that we're damn good at what we do today. That's an old fear. So we're not looking at, I know I'm good at what I do. We know we're good at what we do. Okay, that's wonderful. You want to know you're good at what you do. But there's an ancient old belief that sits inside from way back, and it makes us feel small. And that old fear of maybe not being good enough, or not being seen, or not being heard, or not being picked as the one to make the team, right? In this case, right? What are those old fears? So when we say it, it feels awkward, because it feels like what we're saying is, I'm not good enough to be the expert on this guy's brand and reputation. And I know I am. And yet I have this fear that I'm not, because the fear comes from long, long, long ago. So that's why it's so important to really give yourself the freedom to look inside. When we talk about mastery in life, we talk about moving through these challenges. We talk about mastering these challenges, right? That's what gives us great freedom. And of course, one of the natural outpourings of mastering your life is you start to manifest more and more. Well, you see your manifestations more and more, because what we don't want to see in our manifestations is when we manifest all these fears, and we want to just believe that that's not manifestation, but it is. So here you are, right? So it's really, we're looking back. So now what you want to do is you want to take that awareness, and you want to look back, and you want to see what it's about. And then concurrently, you say to life, I want to heal this wound. I want to master this challenge. I want to move beyond this, because I know that I have the talent, the skill, and the drive, and the knowing to be the best for this Sam Smith, whatever. And you want to use that and the company at that point, because you're releasing your fear. So on one hand, I'm going to release this fear. And while I'm releasing this, I ask for the opportunity, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to present to company ABC to be the brand. And so you're running them concurrent. So what you're really saying to life is, I am going to work on the challenge that blocks me while I am manifesting the dream. So now life knows that you are not going to try to avoid this or ignore this in some way, that you're acknowledging it, you're going to work on it, and then you are also going to manifest. If you choose to try to just manifest and push, which a lot of people think is the way to do it, then what you're going to see happens is this challenge is going to keep coming up. You're either going to skew the manifestation. You're not going to manifest what you want, because the belief is going to be manifested instead. And the belief says, I can't, I'm not good enough. So of course, what does that manifest? You don't get hired, right? So that you'll keep manifesting the fear, or you will manifest some skewed version of the dream. But you're going to see that challenge is going to keep presenting until it's addressed, because it's part of what you're here to master, or part of what you're here to experience. And everybody's on that spectrum of just experiencing versus mastering. And you don't know where everybody else is at. But as you look at that, for everybody out there listening, it is important to open yourself to the challenges that limit you. We are going to be looking at those limitations during full moon, release period, and also concurrently at winter solstice. So let's not be shy. You don't have to share them with everybody, but you do want to be clear with yourself. So if you need a journal, this is a time to look at that so that you can write those down. So is that helpful, Charlene? How is that doing to kind of pull things together for you?
That's helping me a lot, actually. That helps a lot, because I was once told that you can, like, if you want to manifest something, you should put it on your board. But they also said, but you should forget about it. And I was like, well, then why do I have the board? Because I need to be able to check these things off, right? Like, the A type in me is like, I put it here. I need to check it off. And I know that at one point in my life, I was like, okay, forget about it. And then when I would look back, I'd be like, I haven't done anything on this board. Like, it was almost like I forgot about it and never came back.
Right.
So what do you say to that?
Well, I really would like to know where that teaching was coming from, because the whole idea of the vision board or of manifesting is to believe it, know it, feel it, experience it, then speak it and see it, right? But if you're not feeling it and experiencing it, then then you can think it and see it and nothing happens. But if now you're told not to think it and see it, but they're not teaching you to experience it, now you've just put it to the side. It's like, and if there are any sort of doubts, that makes it easy to forget about that, right? So if I say I want to put a second story on my house, then I come into my home and I can feel that second story. I can feel what it would be like to go upstairs and get ready. I can see the view from the second story. I know the colors. I know where the stairwell would be. I can feel the whole thing. It's right there, right? Now, I don't want to obsess over it. I don't want to put it on something and think, okay, I've got to think about this every day. I've got to do this. I've got to do that, because now you're fear driven, right? And I don't want to grandize it, because now I'm ego driven, which is also fear driven. So maybe that teaching came from, we don't want to do that, right? We don't want to, oh my God, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. Every day I've got to come in, I've got to think about it. No. But on the other hand, if I thought that I was to just put this aside, then would I enjoy the experience every day? Probably not. But that's one of the main ways I manifest in my life, is by just feeling the presence of that experience as it is or will be. So I don't know why you would put it aside, unless what the teacher was trying to get you to understand is to move away from the ego and its desire to push and set a timeline and obsess and do, right? Maybe they wanted you to just see it and live it. But to put it aside is not a good idea. You want to live it. It's like people will put cars on their vision board, and I'll say, have you test driven one? And no. Well, have you ever been in one? No. Okay. How are you going to have an experience of this car? Why is it that you want to buy this car if you don't even know what the experience of it is? Well, it marks success. Oh, okay. Like, where's the experience in that, right? So now we have to backtrack again. What does success feel like to you? So the experience is critically important, right? It is critically important. And so that, I'm hoping that's what the teacher was trying to get you toward, so that you're not, using the ego to push and pull.
And I think that's what it was too. I think that he was saying, like, the board is, he said it shouldn't be like a list that you check off. Because at that point, that's what I was thinking. Like, I was like, okay, well, I put these things on here. This is my, like, kind of like my to-do list. Kind of like how I think about New Year's resolutions, right?
You don't do manifestation. Right? He doesn't want you to do the checklist. Behavioral measure. As soon as it's a checklist, it's an expectation. As soon as it's an expectation, it's an external force. Once it's an external force, it is no longer about your truth and your dream. Now, it may have underpinnings of your truth and your dream, but as soon as you move it into a to-do list, let me give you a quick example, and then I know that I don't want to keep everybody watching along. I promise 15 minutes. But if I go to the gym every day, and I love going to the gym every day, it's something I do because I thoroughly enjoy it, okay? And then one day, a friend says, hey, do you mind if I come with you to the gym today? And I said, absolutely not. I'd love to have you join me. So my friend comes and joins me, and we work out together, and it's a lot of fun. And they said, I think I'm going to join the gym. Great. So they join the gym, and they go to the gym, and they say, hey, I was at the gym. I didn't see you. Did you work out today? I'm like, yeah. Oh, well, when did you work out? What group did you do? Well, I did this and that. And at first it's like, okay, that's kind of odd, but I answer the questions. And then one day I said, no, I didn't go today. Well, why didn't you go today? You need to go to the gym every day. You said you were going to go to the gym. Right? Now all of a sudden somebody is putting a pressure on me. So now all of a sudden that gym that I loved so much has become an expectation. Now I'm feeling like I have to go to the gym so I can tell this person, yes, I went to the gym. Maybe I shouldn't be a friend. Maybe it would be a partner. And so when you see that, it shifts from what I desire to an expectation. It loses its umph inside my heart, right? The joy, the gratitude, the passion is missing. So you want to pull it back. So that teacher is right. When it's a to-do list, it can easily then become an expectation. And when it becomes an expectation, it pulls you away from that passion and that dream that's yours inside you.
Okay. And I know you mentioned experience. So can you just go a little bit more into like
Yes.
experience?
So, again, think about the car, right? Think about the car you're currently driving right now. Everybody can do this. And think about what it feels like to open the door and get into the car. Do you have to get down low? Is it right at waist level? Do you have to kind of get up high? What does it feel like? Now feel your hands on the steering wheel. How does it feel? Now feel yourself driving down your street. Now feel it on a highway. Now feel it on a dirt road. Okay? You can feel all of those experiences, right? Because you've been in the car. So that experience makes it very real for you. One of the other things that I usually do, and you'll see me do this in the workshop, is take you on a little bit of a short visualization into something different that you haven't done, but you can do it in your visualization. That experience makes it real and makes it now. Because I'm experiencing it now, it is now. So if I then say to you, okay, if you say to me, okay, I'm going to put a Ferrari on my board, I say, great. Have you ever been in a Ferrari? No. Do you know what the experience of a Ferrari is? No. So how do you feel it? How do you sense it? How do you know why you even want the Ferrari, right? So that's the important piece. So it is in that experience. Does that help?
Yes, that helps a lot, actually. That puts it into perspective for me.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah, that's real important. Yeah, all three of those pieces are really important. So to go over what we're talking about, we're talking right now about the experience. Very, very, very important. It's much more about the experience than the to-do or the expectations. That experience then becomes an integral part of manifesting, whether you use a vision board or mantras or whatever it is you use, that experience and feeling it right behind your belly button becomes a critical part of the experience. The other thing we spoke about is really knowing what the doubts are, learning what they are, learning how to deal with that so you can concurrently work through the challenge while you're manifesting the dream. We also talked about not putting people on your board, because when you put people on your board, you're interfering in free will. That person may not want to be on your board, right? You're manifesting Sam Smith to be your client, but Sam Smith may not want to be your client because he doesn't even know what it is to be a client to a marketing firm, right? He doesn't even know, that doesn't even cross his mind. So, but in other cases, if it's romance, it's an obvious no. But so we talked about that as well. So we've talked about all three of those things. Am I missing anything, Charlene, that I just...
No, that was good. That's it.
So yeah, are there
Those
any
were my
questions
blocks
from our audience that you'd like to ask before we wrap this up?
And if anyone has a question, they can always hit the question button. That'll allow your question to pop up at the bottom of our screen.
Oh, I see the question button right there. Yeah, you can press that button, guys. It's cool. Okay, so to all of you, thank you so very, very much for joining us. Charlene, I thank you very much for joining me. That was really wonderful, and I hope that I was helpful.
Yes, you were very helpful. This is going to be great.
But it is. Yeah. To everyone out there, may all of your dreams come true. And if I could be even a smidge of help to making those dreams come true, then you've made my dream come true. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kristen. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for joining me, and please visit KristenBomas.com, where you can easily access all of my social circles.